Hello, Leo, and welcome to your reading. This is Bright Soul Collective Tarot. My name is Laura, and these will be your intuitive insights for mid-March into the beginning of April 2023. This reading will be for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So by all means, if you know your three major placements, you can listen to any and all of the readings that apply, as each one may resonate for you differently. And as always, before we get started, please do keep in mind these readings are general in nature. That means they're meant to apply to a more broad collective of individuals, and not necessarily every detail that comes through is going to make sense for you specifically. That's why I highly recommend you do take anything and everything that does resonate for you, however that might make sense or connect to your personal circumstances. Definitely use your discretion in determining what is going to be most beneficial and helpful for you, and you can simply leave the rest. So Leo, happy March. I hope you're all doing well. I've been telling everybody spring is just around the corner, which is so exciting. We've got a little bit more daylight. This is it's like a nice turning point for us, at least in the northern hemisphere, with winter and all of our cold weather. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I've got your oracle message ready to go. We will pull some tarot. I'll share a couple of channeled messages that I connected with before the reading, and we'll finish off with a few additional oracle message for extra insight. Sorry, I'm jumbling my words all of a sudden. So before we get into the cards, I am going to take a quick beat to share with you the channeled energetic impression, what I was feeling and picking up on as I was pre-shuffling and preparing for your reading. So the first thing that was like just kept coming into my head was the sense of like, I'm into it, like I'm feeling it. So whatever that is, there might be a sense of like perhaps just what you've got going on right now. It could be a project, work, relationship, just a stage of life, maybe just a good mood, like something that you've got on the go. But yeah, it was kind of a sense of like feeling into it, like being happy with where you are, or maybe how things are progressing. There was also a sense of like rebounding, right? So rebounding or bouncing back. Particularly if you have been going through a period of stagnation, perhaps things are starting to move forward in a way that's favorable. If you've been going through a tough time or some struggle, maybe you're seeing that things are starting to uncomplicate or ease a little bit. But yeah, there's a sense of like, things like there being a little bit of a shift. Maybe things are kind of starting to move forward in a sense of rebounding from what was or from where you were. And there was kind of like a sense of relief that went hand in hand with that. The next thing that really popped into my head was St. Patrick's Day. Here I am recording on the 14th, and St. Patrick's Day is on Friday the 17th of March. So I don't know, maybe St. Patrick's Day, maybe March 17th in general is a significant date to you. Maybe you've got plans. I got the sense of something like it was hand in hand with celebration. So it was like March 17th and March 19th specifically were the two dates that were like bouncing around in my head. So that might have meaning to you. And then the next thing that I was picking up on was a feeling of kind of getting in the zone, right? So this can be getting in the zone in terms of productivity and like losing yourself in a project or something, in the sense that like you kind of lose track of time. So it could be in that sense, but it could also be in like, just being distracted and spacing out and losing track of time. And then the last kind of thing that I was picking up on, there were just tons of cards jumping out, tons of cards, and like different concepts, different ideas. So I got the sense that there might be a lot coming at you that's like being put on your plate, or that you have to kind of contend with, or you could potentially be putting a lot on your own plate, if that makes sense. Like you could have a lot of things that you're working on or that you're working through. Like if there are projects that you've got on the go, like you could have personal projects, you could have hobbies that you've got on the go, you've got like things that you're doing with family, things that you're doing with work. Like it might just be like a lot of demand. But I also got from a personal development perspective that you might really be trying to like hone and strengthen and kind of perfect like so many different aspects of your life or so many different areas that it's just like you're kind of like, the sense that I got was like trying to keep yourself in line. Like you're trying to do better, you're trying to improve yourself, but there might just be like a lot of little things, like a lot of little key points or little habits or little things that you're trying to learn or to hammer down. And there's almost like a sense of like a timeline, like there being a rush, like a rush to perfect these things and to get good at them. And I don't get the sense that you need to be in a rush, because obviously like we are not perfect. We never reach perfection, and that's like exactly not the point of the whole thing. But we're always going to be learning and growing and developing. And the most important thing is to be growth minded, open to opportunities to learn and grow, and willing to seize those opportunities, take those learning moments and move forward with them. But you don't need to put pressure on yourself to do as much as possible, as quickly as possible. I think there generally is a kind of natural flow, right? So as we work through our life experiences, the different circumstances and the different qualities that are kind of demanded of us, we kind of work through things naturally. So it's absolutely amazing and honorable to have goals in terms of personal development and things you're working on and strengthening, but it's also okay to honor yourself where you are now, and to, not to overburden yourself with trying to like get ahead or be perfect, because what happens is every time that we think that we've mastered something, quite often something will come along that kind of turns things on its head, and we kind of second guess and we realize there's more work to be done. So it's not a race. Just be easy on yourself is what I will say. So we'll get into your cards. Your card for this time period is Loyal Heart. And I thought it was really cute because we've got like the two owls here, like a little king and a queen, and they're forming the shape of a heart. So I don't know if owls may be significant to you. Maybe an owl might be a spirit animal or totem that pops up. So if that resonates for you, keep an eye out for owls this month. But yeah, the benefit of this card is that this is a really, really beautiful time to experience and lean into and deepen the connections with the individuals in your life that offer you that loyal love and support. And so obviously, first and foremost, we kind of gravitate to significant others and romantic partnerships, and that very well could be a focus or a main point of focus for you. But this is in all relationships. So it can be with friends and family members, like collaborators. So the nice thing is that this card lends to a great deal of connection and balance and fulfillment and harmony in relationships of all kinds. And that you might be seeing more evidence now in those relationships and interactions with other people, the way that they show up or respond, that is demonstrating that they have, a loyalty to you, that you can trust them, you can lean on them, you can have faith in them. And, I think that's one of the most important things that any one of us can experience is, whether you're someone that casts a wide net and has a large social circle, or whether you keep your circle small, everybody needs at least a couple of really good, solid individuals that they can lean on, right? That they can talk to, that will grant them, time and understanding. And the most important part of this like loyal heart kind of energy is that those relationships, we need to ensure that they're reciprocal, right? So it's kind of, if someone is demonstrating that loyalty and you're open to receive and appreciate that, it's ensuring that you allow yourself to do so, and then also kind of reciprocating in kind. And that share and exchange of that loyal, genuine, loving energy really amplifies your connection, and kind of helps you to take those relationships to an even deeper level. So you might be experiencing a heightened level of connection with individuals, or within friendships and romantic relationships. You might have people, perhaps, finding individuals who are going to be loyal and trustworthy and accepting has been difficult, or maybe you've had challenging experiences in the past. And maybe you are the type of person that tends to show up and be this fiercely loyal person who, champions for others and has their back. And maybe you just haven't had a lot of people that are willing to do the same for you. And, I think that is a loyal trait. A Leo trait is that, loyalty. Loyalty is one of the huge things, right? And so it does tend to be highlighted in relationships. And, perhaps for that reason, Leo may experience a little bit more in terms of ups and downs when it comes to loyalty, because there might be a higher standard, right? So if you have a high standard of loyalty that you display, right, it might be a matter of it's taking time for you to call in and connect with individuals that appreciate that level of loyalty and that are on that same page, that are extending that to you, right? So it's like you don't want people who are going to be flaking out, or who are going to be judging you or undermining you, or, sharing your secrets, right? That kind of stuff. So that's really supported. And it's also a really good time to feel loved and accepted and recognized for the loyal love and support that you offer to others. And for this reason, there could be a really big focus on relationships. There could be a really big focus on family, in terms of, either coming into a higher or more significant level of commitment within relationships, or perhaps partnership in working toward a common goal. So it's whether you're getting married, buying a house, there might they're having a kid, there might be a milestone that's really kind of cementing the need for trust and loyalty and working together to create something that's going to be really stable. So it's lovely because that energy is highlighted. So not only do you get to benefit from that, but that's going to amplify your relationships. And in the same way, sometimes if we experience the opposite, right? If we have a hard time having faith or trust in other people, or being vulnerable, sometimes having difficult experiences causes us to kind of shut down, right? And we don't allow ourselves to connect with people. We may still be the same loyal and loving person, but we don't necessarily allow ourselves to demonstrate that because we don't want to be taken advantage of, or we're afraid that we're going to be disappointed by another person. And so sometimes we pick up the habit of shutting off from that energy. And that obviously, it's not gonna have us feeling particularly fulfilled in relationships. So sometimes we can be attached to ideas and practices and kind of ways of going about life that don't actively serve us, that aren't really taking us in the direction we want to go in. So if loyalty in relationships is something that's been on your mind, or something that you have struggled with, this is also a really good time to assess, are you in connections with people that you don't trust, people that don't show up for you, people that you don't have faith in? Is that problematic for you? And could you be doing yourself a disservice by remaining committed to and loyal to individuals who don't demonstrate that, and who haven't proven themselves to be that safe kind of space for you? Because sometimes we block ourselves from the very thing that we want by accepting less than. So this might be a really good time to take stock of your relationships. And it could be not even just relationships, but even just dynamics in the workplace and stuff like that. Because if that is showing up as a common theme for you, it might be time to let go. And that can be really difficult because we may have a certain level of familiarity. Sometimes we just become so accustomed to something, a certain person or a certain relationship, that it kind of becomes a part of who we are, and it's really difficult to imagine who we might be outside of that. But it's that fear that's created out of dependence on a situation that would keep us in a spot where, our loyalty is not being honored, and we're also not benefiting from loyalty in return. So yeah, there might be situations that aren't necessarily benefiting you, like maybe things that you need to move on from. So this is just really a good time to check in and see how you feel about your relationships, how you're showing up, what you're offering, what's being offered to you. And if you've got that good heartfelt kind of interaction with others. And this is also about being loyal to yourself and your goals, right? And so basically, you might also, in a more practical or tangible sense, be coming into a period where you're starting to see the results of the hard work that you've put in. You're seeing the results of your loyalty. So it could be like a project that you started, a goal that you've been working toward, and you've had to really just like put the work in and keep yourself on track in order to see results. And now you might be seeing not only you're benefiting from the results, but you're seeing that evidence of your loyalty to yourself and your commitment to that goal materializing in a physical, tangible way. So yeah, it's all about being loyal to yourself and your dreams, and kind of sticking to the plan, being faithful, showing up and taking those steps, but also being flexible, right? Being flexible and not being too caught up in your own thing, like being willing to give of your time and energy as well, as you continue to kind of work on whatever you've got on the go, like whatever you're trying to achieve. So this is a neat energy. But yeah, this month might be full of love for you guys. Your first card is showing up as the Page of Cups. Now we'll get into some tarot. Oh. Your second card is showing up as the Five of Cups. Hold on, let me check. I don't think anything flipped over. Let's get you another. Okay, and your third card is showing up as the Moon. Well. Bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Wands, which is victory. What I will say looking at this immediately is when it comes to your feelings, especially those challenging feelings that might inspire worry or fear or doubt or sadness or disconnection, like the only way out is through, right? So there might be some stuff under the surface that has been on your mind or has been bugging you. There might be some excess baggage emotionally that you're carrying around, simply because maybe you haven't had the time, or you haven't felt like you're in a comfortable enough space to address it or to work through it. But with all of the emotional energy that's showing up this month, it has the opportunity to be intensely healing, but it might also be intense in terms of the emotional experience. And the thing is, in order to heal, a lot of time we have to go back and remember, recall, and almost relive the experience in a sense in order to see it from another perspective and reframe it. And then once we reframe it, we can decide, even if it was something challenging or disappointing, we can decide like, what did I benefit from? What did I learn? Like, what little nugget of wisdom or growth am I going to take in order to change this from something that happened to me to something that happened and I overcame, right? So it's kind of like writing your own success story, right? Going back to the difficult times in life and the difficult feelings that may have a hold on you, and finding a way to reframe that in a manner where you see the value that it has offered, or how it has strengthened you, and how you have become victorious as a result. Because at the bottom of the deck, we've got this victory card. This is about achieving your goals. This is about overcoming obstacles. It is about recognition for a job well done. People recognizing you, your talents, your skills, what you have to offer. It might be that you're receiving some kind of recognition or praise, or you have. And this is all about when we are in authentic energy, pursuing our passions, being ourselves, and we put that out there, inevitably, by being willing to share that light and walk that path, we are going to draw in people that can see and appreciate and value that. And so, yeah, you might be on a path of, authenticity, or living your passion and starting to benefit from the results of living a more authentic life and connecting with people that can see that, right? Because this energy, it is about self-recognition as well, but not in an egotistical way, right? So it's like it's not about getting not about getting a big head, but about recognizing your achievements and being willing to celebrate, right? Because quite often we're setting goals and we're working toward them, and then we achieve them, and then we just move on to the next thing. And this is saying, like, it's really, really important, especially if you want continuously setting and achieving goals to be sustainable. It's really important that you allow yourself to recognize and be recognized for what you have accomplished, right? Take time to celebrate and enjoy, because feeling joyful and allowing yourself to celebrate is only going to further feed that little spark that's got you going, right? So it's really kind of interesting, because we've got fire at the bottom of the deck, which is, the Leo element. And then the rest here is all water. So that's why I said, like, there might be a lot of emotions. And also with the moon here, we might have a lot of subconscious kind of stuff going on as well. And it's kind of an interesting progression that we have here. So with the Page of Cups showing up in the first position, this is basically what you need to know right now. And this, out of all of the Cups cards, is one of the most encouraging messages that you could have, particularly in a month where love and loyalty and harmony, connection, reciprocity is really highlighted, because this Page of Cups card, it's all about love, an offer of love. It can be moving forward on a path or a journey of self-love and self-acceptance. It could be, moving in a direction of, connecting to the things that you are passionate about. It could be love and romance, a new relationship or a renewal within a relationship, a new person or thing or something to love. And this is like, if you can dream it, you can do it, right? And so also we've got like the flying pig, right? And so this card encourages us to dream. It encourages us to connect with the things that make us feel happy and joyful. And it's like, what is it that you truly want? If you could dream a dream of anything, right? If you could dream anything and you didn't have to worry about how feasible it was or how it was going to work out, like, what would that dream look like? Because that's the first step. And if we can accept that nothing is impossible, then we recognize just how valuable dreaming, daydreaming, really is, because that is an expression of our creativity. And that is also part and parcel with like how we connect to and channel divine energy, right? It's like divine inspiration. And so this might be a really, really good month for you to connect with like what it is that you feel you're longing for. Like, what does that love and that happiness and that fulfillment look like to you? How might your life look? How might your life feel? And it's like starting to kind of daydream, get those ideas and that inspiration so that you have that vision for like what it is that you're working toward. And a lot of times people will think like, daydreaming is not necessarily productive. But, you see the Page of Cups here he's sitting here, right? He's grounded, but he's kind of projecting up into the ether. And that is kind of our role, because we're spiritual beings living a physical experience, and we're not meant to exist solely in the physical. Like I said this in another reading, like eat, sleep, work, die, right? But we're also not meant to be so completely absorbed in like the spiritual or like metaphysical that we're just not present here on earth. Our purpose is to be a channel, right? To connect the two. So we connect the physical with the divine, and we act as a channel. So we receive that divine wisdom and inspiration and creativity, and we allow it to move us so that we can take the beautiful kind of stuff that's up here, these dreams, and manifest them into reality. And so this is saying, like, if you can dream it, you can do it. So give yourself the opportunity to think about what that might be and recognize that that can be a really incredibly important, fulfilling, and valuable source of inspiration, right? And especially if you're not somebody who gets inspiration by just like looking at the purely practical and saying like, well, I want X amount of money, or I want to buy this house. Like, if the material isn't what motivates you to achieve things in life, but it's more of like the emotional sense and fulfillment, then daydreaming and kind of envisioning what could be, the more that you connect with that vision and allow yourself to be moved by it, the more you're going to infuse that very energy into your life and the things that you do, creating a life that is imbued with that intention and that energy, which is ultimately sending a message out into the universe that like, this is who I am, this is what I want, and people will be drawn in or repelled accordingly, right? So this is kind of like being at the beginning of a journey, and recognizing that there's all sorts of opportunity out there, and it's up to you to decide, what do you think will be most loving for you, right? Loving and fulfilling. And the interesting thing, we've got the Five of Cups showing up as your challenge. And the Five of Cups can be a really challenging energy, to be honest. It can be a sense of sometimes being overwhelmed by disappointment, right? So like if we think about each cup here as a cup of love or promise or opportunity, an opportunity for love and fulfillment and happiness, right? And so we receive that cup and we hope that that is going to be the thing that really, that's going to be our wish fulfilled. And maybe once we kind of wander down that path and start having certain experiences, it doesn't pan out to be that way, or what was once good becomes, is no longer aligned, right? Or things end. And so this is all about the disappointments that we may face as we move along our path of trying to connect with something that's going to be emotionally fulfilling, the love that we want to feel and experience and share, the emotional balance that we want to experience, the connection to our intuition and awareness of our subconscious, the healing, right? So yeah, inevitably, it's kind of like you have to try you might have to try a bunch of different paths. It's not necessarily reasonable to expect that you're just going to have this perfect recipe for happiness and success, and you're going to know exactly what it looks like, and you're going to follow the steps and everything's going to work out perfectly. Like, life is difficult, right? And we experience these disappointments. And the Five of Cups energy, as challenging as it can be, because we may feel really disappointed and beaten down by those experiences. We might feel as though we're losing like hope. We may feel personally victimized by life or our life experiences or experiences that we've had with other people. And that might make us feel as though we want to just shut down, maybe to stop trying. We don't want to be open to new opportunities because we're so focused on what we've lost or what hasn't worked out or the expectations that haven't been met and the pain we've experienced as a result. But there's more. The beauty of this card is that there's always more, right? That cup is never the last cup, right? And as long as you are willing to recognize that you gained something from that experience, right? You had that experience for a reason. It ended for a reason. Rejection is divine protection. And as long as you can work through the emotions of having been involved in that experience and maybe any disappointment that goes with it, then you can put yourself in a position where you are ready to receive more, right? Because there's always another door to open. And this card for me is like the there's no use crying over spilled milk card, right? So it's like, if you can't change it, if you can't do anything about it, if it's happened, it doesn't necessarily serve you to spend your time suffering over it. And that's not to diminish any kind of suffering or challenge that you're experiencing, but it's saying like, yeah, you have to honor the experience. You have to honor how it's made you feel. But it's also your responsibility to work through that to allow yourself to move forward, because you don't like, you don't deserve to stagnate in sad energy, right? You deserve to see that beautiful cup of love that's being offered to you and to take the next step, right? And the beautiful thing is, like, with water energy and cups, so we see this experience as being kind of poured down the drain, right? But it's not disappearing, it's going back out into the ocean, right? So it's kind of like that highlights the interconnectedness and that we're always in the flow of life, right? Everything is connected, and it can offer a sense of peace in the sense that, we're where we need to be, having the experience that we need to have. And if we can honor the ebb and flow of life and honor the fact that things happen for a reason, and then, like, I don't want to mean like toxic positivity, things happen for a reason. It's up to you to determine what you're going to take from the experiences that life throws your way. And in a similar vein, what they say about challenging situations is, it's like, it's not your responsibility. Like, you're not responsible for the pain that you feel. If somebody else has done something or something has happened to you, you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you're responsible for how you move forward, like how you act as a result, what you're going to do. So you get to decide, how am I going to move through this? How am I going to allow this to impact my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, and actions? What do I want for myself? Who am I really? And am I going to allow these experiences to cover up who I am, or to break me open so I can get to know and embrace myself more deeply? Right? So that's what I mean in terms of healing can be a really difficult and challenging and messy process, but it's beautiful in all of its in all of its messiness, right? And so this is saying that, like, sometimes we feel like all the doors are closing and we feel like it's all a loss, but a lot of the time when we are in a spot where we feel stuck and like there's no opportunity, you may feel like there's no opportunity, or minimal, or you don't have faith that there's an opportunity for happiness out there for you because of past losses. It's recognizing that that's just a product of fear, right? That's just a product of pain that you're experiencing. Because if you can step away from focusing on what has happened and how you're feeling, right, and you can allow yourself to kind of process and work through it, you may need like therapy or someone that you can talk to about it. But there's always another opportunity. And just knowing how full the world is of opportunities, and how, like, things that we could not even possibly imagine can happen and change our lives in a short period of time, right? So sometimes just connecting with the fact that anything can happen, and that's like a beautiful thing, can help us to move past the pain of past disappointments, right? And to look forward to the future with an open mind and with curiosity and with faith and trust that we're gonna get through. We're gonna connect with that love and that happiness eventually. And it might take a few more failed attempts or challenges or bumps in the road, but we're on that path and we're gonna get there, right? And your advice, interestingly enough, in dealing with this Five of Cups energy, disappointment, feeling maybe a little depressed and maybe a little hopeless, if you have a tendency to kind of be in that energy or be really impacted by that energy, specifically in relationships, that could be a main vehicle for the ways that you experience this kind of energy. But yeah, we've got the moon showing up as your advice. And the moon is all about, it's all about our subconscious, right? It's all about kind of diving into the depths of our emotion, developing a higher level of emotional awareness, and thinking about the cycles of the moon, right? So the moon cycles from a new moon, which it appears to be invisible in its total darkness, and then progresses to the point of a full moon, which is bright and illuminating. And if you're interested in it, I would also Google the lunar phases and the significance of each phase and what each phase of the moon supports. Because in terms of personal development and manifestation, Each different phase of the moon has different qualities, and it supports different kinds of actions and practices. So that might be something that's helpful to you. But it's really about being able to balance out and integrate our light and our dark, and to honor that those can both exist simultaneously, and there will be times for each, right? So it's recognizing like the so in the darkness, right, when the moon is new, um, it appears it's hidden. It appears to be gone, but it's just hidden, right? And so sometimes that's how we feel when we're experiencing a difficult part of life, or we're in like a shadow kind of phase. We can feel as though the person that we know that we are, or the things that we connect with and that we love and enjoy, sometimes it feels like they're gone, or that person is gone. And this is a reminder that in those darkest times, you're still there under the surface. You're just hidden, right? So sometimes your light is just obscured by shadow, and you can find your way back, right? And we do go through cycles in terms of our emotional healing and development as well. And with the full moon brings the things that are in the shadows to light, right? And so that's why the full moon is actually a time for reflecting, like reflecting back on the month. Like, where did we start? What did we set out to do? How did it go? How are we feeling now? You know, what worked that we can take forward into the next cycle, and what didn't serve us and came to light as being unhelpful and needs to go. So this is being really, really mindful of the shadow and the light, and making sure that you are able to honor, like you're not shaming yourself for the shadow and you're not overvaluing the light, but you're recognizing that that duality is an important part of your existence, and allowing yourself to sit with and experience and acknowledge the emotions that go hand in hand with these energies, because there's also like, you know, this talks about our subconscious and even like intuition and psychic awareness. So sometimes we are impacted by things that are not visible or tangible. Sometimes there are things under the surface that are informing our thoughts or feelings or actions. So it could be our subconscious programming. It could be, if you're a sensitive person, it could be energies, external energies, or things you're picking up from other people that get you, you know, that impact you on an emotional level. And so this is about like our fear, like our fears, our issues, our worries, being brought to the light. And this is why the moon is all about healing, right? Because it's allowing ourselves to acknowledge the challenge, and to acknowledge how sometimes we may feel like we're drowning, right? Because everything feels so overwhelming. But this is actually just the process of the things that are holding us under the surface coming to light so they can be released. And it's what I was saying before, like the only way out is through. And sometimes you have to get deeper into the emotional shit in order to recognize what it is, so that you can consciously make the decision to say, hey, this was my experience, and I'm ready to release it, to connect with more, right? Because the light always comes back around. Even if it's obscured for a period of time, there's always the opportunity to reconnect with it. And if you go through phases of like the shadow and dark, you don't need to worry or shame yourself, because that's also a part of our healing and our growth. So it's like kind of honoring where you are, honoring your feelings and your intuition, taking time to understand what is informing the things that you're feeling, and allowing yourself, rather than being afraid of or avoiding or shutting down or judging those feelings, allowing yourself to kind of be suspended in them and approach them with curiosity to see what's being revealed to you, what is being brought to light. And if you can take your personal feelings out of it and kind of see it in terms of like through a curious lens, then it's like, now that this is being brought to light, how do I feel about this? What do I want to do with it? Is this something that will benefit me, that I want to put more time and effort into? Or is this something that's been holding me down, that now that I realize I can finally work on letting it go, right? So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for healing and release, and deepening your relationship to self as well. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the couple of channeled messages that I connected with before I began your reading, and then we'll get you a couple of final oracle messages to tie everything together. So the first message that came through for you was forecast or like prediction. So obviously that could be in the most basic sense in terms of the weather. I don't know, maybe that's a thing for you. Maybe the weather forecast is something that you check religiously. I don't know. But the vibe that I got was you may be trying to forecast or predict something. If you're a sensitive person, perhaps you have a gift of foresight, or a sixth sense in terms of things that might happen or when they might happen. Maybe that's something that's becoming known to you or something that you're strengthening. But it's kind of the idea that, nothing is ever set in stone. Everything is up in the air. So with forecasts and predictions, we do the best that we can to figure it out. But there's also a sense of like playfulness, because things can change, right? And things, there's a sense of surprise. So there might be something that you're kind of feeling predictive about, and there's a sense of knowing but not knowing exactly what, and there's still that opportunity to be surprised. It's kind of an obscure message and concept, so I'd be really curious to know if that resonates for anyone. The next message that came through was into the thick of it. And so that gave me a sense of like diving right in or being thrown right in. So it could be like a really chaotic, really busy, really unfamiliar experience or stage of life, or something. So you think about being thrown into the thick of it. It might be something that you have orchestrated for yourself and been like, wow, this is chaotic, and I'm just gonna dive in headfirst and tackle it and deal with it. Or it could be a sense of it just coming up and it being unavoidable, and you've been like introduced into that environment. And I would say that if you do resonate with that, or you feel like you're in the thick of it, it's to be aware of how you're thinking about yourself and how you're thinking about your circumstances while you're in that, right? Because if it's going to be tough and chaotic and challenging and stressful no matter what, then if you're speaking to yourself in a way that undermines or questions your ability, it's okay. Like, it's okay if you feel scared, and it's okay if you feel uncomfortable, and it's okay if you feel stressed, right? But as long as you understand how the situation's impacting you, then you can kind of play a little bit of a game and say like, okay, well, instead of using this as, fuel to make me question myself or feel worse about myself, what about if I use this as a test to prove to myself how strong I am, right? So it's kind of like the way that you talk to yourself and think about yourself in those situations does matter. And I think that the way that you approach those situations is really going to determine not only the kind of experience that you have, but also what you get out of it at the end. Because a lot of the time when we're kind of thrown into those really messy situations, we're not meant to handle it perfectly. Right? That's the thing. It's messy and it's chaotic, and we're probably going to make mistakes, and we're going to learn, and we're going to have insight, right? And we're going to be tested. We're going to be pushed to our limits. And sometimes that's the very time when we gain confidence, because we realize we're capable of things that we might not otherwise have thought possible, right? And things that we would never push ourselves out of our comfort zone to prove. But because we've had no choice, we end up realizing, wow, I'm capable of handling way more than I thought, right? So yeah, so there's always two sides to everything. You can look at it on, the bright side or the dark side. That is completely and entirely up to you, and based on your personal situation and what's going on, that's going to inform how you handle it. But this is just my encouragement for you. To be kind with yourself, because it might be trial by fire, right? And try not to worry too much about how you're handling it, but just trying to keep your head up and doing the best you can, and recognizing that you're going to be better off for it, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. And then the last message that came through was pedestrian. So that could be, again, in the most obvious way, in terms of a pedestrian, someone walking. Maybe be aware of, if you are somebody who walks a lot, if that's your primary mode of transportation, or you enjoy getting out for walks, maybe just being careful of your surroundings and other vehicles, or if you're driving, watch out for pedestrians. I don't know. But that wasn't like the primary. The thing that really occurred to me, because I've been watching a show recently where these people are a little bit, they consider themselves to be elevated, and they refer to things as pedestrian quite often. So the term pedestrian means something that is lacking inspiration or excitement. It's dull, it's plain, it's boring, right? And so I don't know how you might connect to that. Perhaps you've got individuals in your life that are kind of plain, kind of dull, boring. Maybe they're just not doing it for you. Maybe there's been an abundance of that energy and you're looking to shift things up. Maybe you're somebody who, prefers to keep things plain. But yeah, it's funny because in the series that I've been watching, they throw it around almost like an insult, like, if you're plain, you're dull, you're boring, you're kind of like below us. So I don't know how you might connect with that. Maybe there's somebody that makes you feel that way. I'm not sure. But again, your channeled messages were a little strange. So we're going to finish off with an oracle message or two, just for an additional bit of insight. But yeah, you guys might be in your feels. And perhaps with this loyalty card coming up, like having that security and that safety and that love, it might just be, you're coming into a space where you have that support and the resources to really work through some of this emotional stuff that's potentially been holding you back. So your card for your crystal spirits card is Lepidolite. So I'm just going to read this directly from the book, and you can see if and how it may resonate for you. So the essential meaning is simplification, manageability, organization, and one task at a time. So especially if you've got a lot of emotional stuff, it's like not getting overwhelmed by this sea of stuff that's going on. Lepidolite spirit appears to tell you to slow down and simplify, for you have been turning your attention and your energy to far too many different things, distracting yourself from the wisdom available to you. If you feel lost and overwhelmed, it's no wonder. Fortunately, Lepidolite spirit is here to focus you. Think about how satisfying it is to do one task from beginning to end with mindfulness, free of all the noise that distracts you and keeps you from feeling a sense of completion. There is always more to do, but life becomes more manageable when you recognize that refocusing over and over again will only exhaust you and slow you down. Remain present, doing just one thing, and your courage, conviction, and confidence will return. So take one task at a time, and then it will be easier to hear the quiet voice of your intuition, which will guide you in prioritizing. What needs to get done will get done, and your life will become more manageable if you follow this crystal's lead. And then problems in relationships have a way of sorting themselves out when we reorient ourselves by simplifying, letting go of the string of worries that has us jumping here and there, and feeling that we can never do enough or be enough to make our relationships work. Settle into simplicity and bring the energy of Lepidolite spirit into your relationships. Slow down and listen, saying simply, I'm sorry, yes, and I see. Simply being present and focused on another person, listening to the words they speak and the messages they send silently through the language of their bodies, you will start to feel calmer. Whatever the challenge, simplicity can help. And then prosperity. Lepidolite spirit shows up when we are most likely to freak out. It gently soothes us with its message. Keep it simple. Figuring out finances can lead to a harried state, even if you are good at math, because money represents your security in this world. Now is a time to release your fears and experience that focusing on just one task and completing it will return you to equilibrium. One thing, then another, then another. It will all sort itself out if you simply focus. And then meditation. Lepidolite is the go-to stone for times of stress. It teaches us to slow down and care for ourselves. Although useful in meditation, the stone is just as effective placed in the bathtub while we soak. Have a cup of tea and relax. Interesting. And so this kind of goes hand in hand with that energy that I was picking up on, that it's like you might be trying to work through a lot of things at once, or like tackle a lot of changes, right? And so that's basically saying, especially, you know, in the sense of emotions, challenging emotions, healing that is coming up, not to try and handle everything at once, you know, just, you know, be kind to yourself, work through one thing at a time from beginning to end. And not only will you be feeling lighter, but you'll be feeling confident in your ability to handle and work through things. And it leaves you feeling more capable of handling, even if you do have a long list of things to do. I'm going to get you one final oracle message just to see if there's anything. Ooh, there's like 3 that popped out. We only want one. Just to see if there's anything else we need to know for this month. It's funny, this oracle deck, the messages seem to take a while to come out. Okay, and so your next message is birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. So you could be birthing something new, creating something new. I'll read it directly from the book for you guys. Let's see if I can find it here. Okay, birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Often our path is exactly the one we don't feel prepared to walk. Walk it anyway. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have a wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyway. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us. Be courageous and do it anyway. We are birthing a new age. Right now, we're in a transition period between ages, in the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise. Like driving in the fog and trusting the road will appear ahead, we need to release old identities and ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as a compass. You are part of a group of souls who have been incarnating at significant periods of history, preparing for this exact time, dreaming a new world into being. Magdalene sisters, daughters of Isis, Essenas, priestesses, witches, mystics, healers, seers, artists, midwives, visionaries, guardians of the earth, and storytellers from times past. It is time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. And then there's an activation. So it says to hold the card on your heart and say the following. So I'll just hold it up and you can look at it if you wish to do this activation. So it says, I am open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me. Please lead me. Please show me the way. So, interesting. Only you will know how that applies to you if you've got something on the go. But this is also kind of about holding the light for others as well, right? So for example, if you're a loyal person and you experience relationships with individuals who take you for granted or manipulate you or don't appreciate that, it's about like not stopping, right? You know, don't allow other people to influence your energy. It's about showing up in your energy and your authenticity, and seeding that light for other people as well, because it's demonstrating that's gonna be the energy that changes, right? That's setting the example for other people to do the same. And also dreaming a new world into being. It's like there might be goals that you have that may be a little bit different than the people that you're surrounded by. Maybe people don't necessarily understand or align with it, but you know, maybe it's about connecting with other dreamers as well, and recognizing that those dreams have validity. There's a reason that you're drawn to that, whatever that may be for you, and perhaps this is a good opportunity to make some more room for that in your life. Okay, so I'm just getting you a couple of affirmations and then we will finish. My happiness can be measured by the level of my faith in love. Yeah, so faith, belief and trust that things are working out for you. And that love and loyalty will prevail. So you don't need to measure your happiness based on anything external. It's all about your connection to and your experience of love. I make time to recharge my battery. The world needs my energetic light, making sure you're resting, particularly if you are doing a lot of emotional work, personal development, and healing. That can be really taxing, really draining. And in order to shine that light, you have to be feeling rested and taking care of yourself, right? So you can't pour from an empty cup. My presence is my power. So presence physically, but also emotionally and spiritually, being in the moment, allowing yourself to connect with others, freeing yourself from distractions and so on. That is your biggest power. And that also allows you to connect with people on a deeper level, which will impact both of you. And you got a bonus affirmation. I am not the victim. I am the lighthouse. And that's kind of what I was saying about how, sometimes when we're in this energy and we're focused on disappointments and hurt, we can feel victimized by life. And it's recognizing that, if something has been removed, as painful and unhelpful as that may seem, it's like we have to trust that inevitably it's going to be in our best interest. And we are here to shine the light. We are here to be at the cause of our life, not at the effect, right? So we're not here to be victimized by life. We are here to work through all of the challenges and to hold and shine our light for others, right? So anytime that you feel lost, anytime that you feel like you're struggling, remember there is that light within you that's always available. Sometimes it may be obscured, but in shining that light, you're also a beacon of hope for others. And that seems to be an important role for you guys to play, as relationships are so highlighted, especially right now. So Leo, I am going to leave your reading here. I hope you enjoy. If you did enjoy this reading or you found it to be helpful at all, the best way to support me is to like this video on YouTube. You can also leave me a comment, let me know what you think or how it resonated. Beyond that, if there's anyone you could think of that might be interested in my readings, you can feel free to share my channel or my content with them. And make sure you've had a chance to check out my channel at Bright Soul Collective Tarot, ensuring you're not only subscribed to the channel, but also signed up for notifications, because that is exactly what will keep you up to date on new readings as they're posted. So Leo, I hope the remainder of this month is good to you. That seems like there's a lot of opportunity for some emotional alchemy and healing and just beautiful love and connection and relationship. So that is really lovely. It has been an absolute pleasure reading for you, and I can't wait to connect with you again next month. In the meantime, I'm wishing you all the very best.